The Blue Jackets showed up late to the rink last night, but they didn't show up late to the game. We are unpacking their third regulation win in a row, which, you know what that means. Blue Jackets are on a streak, baby.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I also have to let you know, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And thank you for making us the number one sports podcast network. We super appreciate it. So let's get into the game. Eventful day yesterday. Travel delays, followed by a trade, followed by that game, which was in itself quite eventful. Big day for the Blue Jackets. And great to see them get a win at the end of it, because I feel like everyone, myself included, was like, man, this is either going to be a blowout win or a scheduled loss. When I realized that what time the Blue Jackets were getting to Ottawa, honestly, until the plane landed, I was convinced that actually they weren't going to make it. They were going to forfeit the game. I saw some fun comments from Sens fans being like, man, the Blue Jackets are doing this on purpose. They don't want to come to Ottawa. They played last night and they don't have Werenski. They don't want to play this game. And to that I say, oops, sorry about it. Big 4-1 win over the Senators, who the Blue Jackets were basically in direct competition with for points, by which I mean the Eastern Conference continues to be so insane. The Senators, before this game, the Senators were sitting on 41 points. The Blue Jackets were sitting on 38 points, right? The Maple Leafs are in between them, those two teams, but we don't care about the Maple Leafs right now. A regulation win for the Senators puts them up at 43 points, and the Blue Jackets stay at 38, so a 5-point difference. Instead, the Blue Jackets won their game in regulation, 3-game winning streak now, and they're only 1 point behind the Senators. They are 4 points behind the Florida Panthers, who are currently in a playoff spot. They are 2 points behind the New Jersey Devils, who they play tomorrow night, and we'll talk about the Devils in tomorrow's episode. But again, it still feels kind of insane to be like, well, they're last in the East, but also they're right in the mix. But they're getting some help. Obviously the Maple Leafs, their most recent game was a loss, an overtime loss, which means they got a point. A lot of overtime losses for kind of the bottom half of the Eastern Conference in the past game. So the Rangers lost in overtime, the Devils lost in overtime, Bruins lost in overtime. The Penguins won their last game. Senators have lost 2 straight. Maple Leafs lost their last game in overtime. Capitals lost their last game in regulation. The Blue Jackets are on a 3-game win streak. The Sabres are on a 9-game win streak, which is insane. And they're actually in town in a week or so. So I hope the streak ends before then, because streaks make me nervous. But the Islanders lost their last game. The Flyers lost their last game. Blue Jackets have the 4th longest win streak in the NHL right now, which I know it's only 3 games, and we're not gonna overreact to a 3-game win streak, because they've done that once this season already, and they followed up with just the worst November that any team has ever had, which is hyperbole, but I'm sticking with it. But they're still in the mix, right? It helps that some teams are losing. It would help more if some of these teams were getting regulation losses instead of overtime losses, but a sign of how insane the East is the Buffalo Sabres have won 9 games in a row, so they've picked up 18 points, and they are still on the outside looking in of the playoffs, right? The Blue Jackets can't rely on other teams losing games. They are going to have to keep winning their own, on top of, hopefully, teams like the Penguins have cooled off, teams like the Devils have cooled off, the Bruins are not great in their last 10 games. The Rangers are kind of doing what they've done all season. The Capitals are faltering. The Flyers are kind of mediocre in their last 10 games, right? It's up for grabs. And I don't think that the Blue Jackets are going to lose games, obviously, but they've got a real opportunity here to force themselves back into the conversation, right? It's not going to be easy, but they can do it. And it was a big 2 points from the Senators, and a big 2 points from the Islanders as well, right? Like, that's 4 points in division that you've taken. 2 points from a division rival as well. And like, I don't know if they have. I don't think they technically have 4-point games in the NHL, but they do they do over here. And a 4-point game is basically if you're playing someone that's directly above you in the standings. We use it for soccer mostly. Is that if someone's directly above you in the standings and you play them, then that's a 4-point game, right? Because you get the 2 points from the win, and also get the 2 points that the other opponent would have taken as well, right? So basically, it's the thing I was talking about with the Senators, right? Is the Blue Jackets turned a 3-point deficit from the Senators, and it could have been a 5-point deficit if the Senators had won that game, but actually it's only a 1-point deficit because of the Blue Jackets. So there was a 4-point spread potential, right? So the Blue Jackets have had 2 4-point games in a row. They took 2 points from the Islanders and made sure they didn't get any. They took 2 points from the Senators and made sure they didn't get any. So there's 4 points that they've collected from the teams that they're in direct competition with, to stay as relevant as they can for a team that's at the bottom of the East, right? And again, a lot of work to do because, again, teams above them are going to continue to win or start winning again. But if they beat New Jersey in regulation tomorrow, knock on wood, like, things are going to start to get really, really interesting in the East, because that win will put the Blue Jackets 2 points out of a playoff spot and right in the mix with teams like New Jersey, teams like Boston, teams like the Rangers. So it's gonna be interesting. But I want to talk about the game kind of as a whole, because do I think it was the best game in the world? No, it wasn't the cleanest game. There was, some chaos, let's say. I feel like the first period I thought was fine. Second period got a little bit dicey, but the Blue Jackets kind of came out of it okay. Third period, that's the second game in a row that the Blue Jackets have won the third period. I think, actually, you know what? I think that's the third game in a row that the Blue Jackets have won the third period, which is genuinely shocking to me. I believe they won the third period in LA. I think they outscored the Kings 1-0 in the third period. They outscored the Islanders 3-0 in the third period, and then they outscored the Senators, I believe, 2-0 in the third period. Which I had the wrong tab open because this is Locked On Blue Jackets. 2-0 in the third period. So in the last 3 games, that's outscoring the opponent 6-0 in the third period, if I'm remembering the Kings game correctly. Now, there's still some work to go before the Blue Jackets are anything approaching like a positive goal differential in the third period. I believe they dropped to like -22 or something goal differential in the third period. So, like, if that number is right, they're still -16 in the third period on the season. So not great, obviously, but definitely a sign that things are heading in the right direction, right? The penalty kill continues to be impressive. I think I saw someone say that they've killed 12 straight penalties, going back to, I believe, the Ducks game. But the Senators went 0 for 4 tonight on the penalty kill. Power play continues to be kind of up and down, nothing going there. But, like, again, the Senators have the 4th best power play in the NHL, and the Blue Jackets gave them nothing. Like, the penalty kill actually might have been the best thing about the Jackets game. It was clinical. I really feel like, and I'm going to pull up Natural Stat Trick just to make sure 100% what the numbers are, but I feel like they gave the Senators basically nothing. And, like, that was even the things that they did give them. Jet Greaves handled, obviously, and we'll talk about Jet Greaves in a second here. So the Senators, in their 7.5 minutes of power play time, had 4 shots on goal. So they averaged about a shot per penalty. the Blue Jackets in their 2.5 penalties, 5.5 minutes of penalties. They had, I believe, they drew 3 penalties, and one of those became a 4-on-4 because of, I think, Mason Marshman did crime. But in that 5 minutes, they managed to create 8 shot attempts and 6 shots. So in 2 minutes less, they created 2 shots more. Again, they didn't score, but the penalty kill, to me, it just felt like the Senators got that initial shot in each power play, and then the Blue Jackets just kind of got rid of it. Again, it felt clinical. In 4 penalties or 4 power plays, they managed to create less than half an expected goal worth of offense. So again, not used to complimenting the penalty kill so much, but even like you look at those numbers and then I look at the eye test and I'm like, yeah, the Senators really, really struggled on the power play last night, which I wasn't expecting because, again, they're one of the best power play teams in the league, but it was a lot of fun to watch. You know, I joke a lot about how my body doesn't know the difference between the Blue Jackets penalty kill and being chased by a bear, but actually last night, the penalty kill was not stressful at all. I had a lot of faith in the penalty kill to get stuff done, which is not, as we all know, always the case with the Blue Jackets, who love, A, to make my blood pressure high, and B, typically this season, they love to allow a power play goal. So the fact that they did neither of these things is honestly impressive in and of itself. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then I want to talk about what else I liked in this game. And we're going to talk about Marchenko, we're going to talk about Jet Greaves, we're going to talk about Cole Sillinger as well. We're going to talk about all of that good stuff and more in just a second here at Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about Game Time. There's nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere, it is unmatched, right? Watching at home is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. And the only thing that used to get in the way was getting tickets, right? You've got long queues, endless screens, you've got prices that change at checkout. That's my least favorite thing that unnamed ticketing apps will do, is that you'll see a seat and you're like, oh, this is $19 for a Sharks ticket. I love that. And then you'll get to check out and they'll be like, joke. Actually, it's $35 because of mysterious fees. And Game Time doesn't do that to you. It gives the advantage back to fans. It is the ultimate hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I use it all the time when I'm in the States. I use it for Sharks games mostly. I use it for Barracuda games if I want to go see the AHL. I used it when I was in Canada in the fall. We saw a Habs game. We saw a Leafs game. And Game Time it's just the best option, right? Like, tickets are as low as $25, depending on what games you go to see, what arenas you go to. But I really, really love that those fees are included up front. The price you see is the price you pay. You don't get to check out and find like $20 of mysterious fees added on for no reason. You love to see it. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets, and there's more good stuff that I want to talk about in this game, right? I want to talk about Jet Greaves, who played back-to-back nights, and then obviously the travel day on top of that. Everyone had a tough travel day, but I feel like for a starting goalie who, you want to be able to get your routine, right? Like, you want your post-game routine after the first game, and then ideally you fly to Ottawa. You get in probably around midnight, 12:30, get to the hotel, go to bed. Apparently the flight from Columbus to Ottawa is only an hour. I was talking about yesterday like it was 3 hours. Turns out I don't know where Ottawa is relative to Columbus. So the flight's only an hour, which is much better than I was expecting. But goalies have their routines. They like their routines. Yesterday must have been really, really tough to have a routine because, again, all of the goalies that I've ever known or worked with or played with love to get to the rink early and mostly just dissociate a little bit under the guise of meditation or, thought process or whatever. Jet couldn't do that. They got to the rink, I think, 2.5 hours before for warm-ups. So which would be 3 hours before the game, which is kind of wild. And again, he played the night before, played the Islanders, played extremely well against the Islanders. I'm just pulling up what his numbers were for that game as well. He played. Where is it? Here it is. He faced 27 shots against the Islanders, allowed 2 goals. So 2 saves on 27. And then in tonight's game, he faced. No, I've lost it again. Let me pull up something else. But the point I'm making here, while I click around, again, locked. Every day is know how this works. I close a tab that I need, and then it's gone forever. Okay, Jet Greaves in his game against the Islanders, he made 25 of 27 saves, or 26 of 22 saves. Sorry, 24 of 26 saves. Last night against Ottawa, he made 27 of 28. So that's 3 goals allowed on 54 shots, I believe, is the math. If who knows if I'm doing the math right, but I believe that's 54 shots, and he allowed 3 goals on them. Mix in the LA game where he allowed 1 goal on 24 shots. He's allowed 4 goals on like 80 shots, which I believe is good for an average of like a 950 save percentage. Again, math is tough, but he's looking a lot like the Jet Greaves that we got at the end of last season. It helps that the Blue Jackets are scoring, right? Because that was Jet Greaves was never playing badly this season. I feel like he had some rough games, obviously, but you look at the number of goals that he's allowed versus the number of goals that the Blue Jackets have scored. And like, again, we talked about this, I believe, at the beginning of December, where I went and I wrote down like how many goals that each goalie was getting, like how many goals from the team they were getting, right? And Jet was getting basically an average of like a goal and a half less per game than Elvis was. He was getting on average about 2 goals a game. The team was scoring with him in net, and Elvis was getting almost 4 goals a game when he was in net. And it seems like they figured out that actually they can score more goals than that when Jet's in net. So they scored 3 on LA, 4 on New York, including an empty netter, and then 4 last night against Ottawa as well, which I believe all 4 of those goals were against a goalie. I don't believe that last goal was an empty net goal. No, it wasn't. So Jet's getting run support, which is great and is key to goalie success, right? But also it can't be overstated how well he's played in these 3 games. I was a little bit surprised that they played him over Elvis, but not that surprised, right? Like, again, this is the second time he's done this season. He did it at least once at the end of last season, right? Like he came in and played. Let me pull up the numbers so I know that I'm getting it right. He played. Oh no! So he played on April 9th. He played in the AHL. Came up April 10th. Played in Columbus in the NHL. So that was technically playing both halves of not technically playing both halves of a back-to-back, but playing 2 games on consecutive days. And then he played April 12th and April 13th. Then he played the 15th and the 17th. So again, that home and away versus Washington is what I was thinking about. I thought there was another one. But the point I'm making here is Jet clearly is a goalie that responds well to playing a lot. I don't think this means that they should play him for every game, because I think that's a great way to overwork your goalie that plays a lot. But it's good to know that they can count on Jet Greaves, even in like an emergency-ish situation where, I really don't think there was any consideration to putting Elvis in this game. I thought they might have played him against the Islanders. He played well against the Islanders the last time these 2 teams faced off, but he was abysmal against the Ottawa Senators the last time they were in town. So I'm not surprised that they played Jet in this game. But again, he continues to be one of the more underrated goalies in this league, I think. And last I checked, he was top 15 in goalies in terms of goals saved above expected. I'm going to pull up what his new stats are now, because again, that's 3 very good games in a row. In terms of goalies that have played minimum of let's say 20 games, Jet Greaves is 7th in the league in goals saved above expected per 60. So every 60 minutes he plays, he's scoring about half a goal more than he should. On the season so far, he's saved 15 and a half goals more than he should have done. So he's allowed 65 goals in 25 games. The numbers say that he should have allowed 80 goals. Those are really, really good numbers. And again, you look at the guys that he's kind of in contention with, in conversation with, he's around about the same as Andrei Vasilevsky. He is around about the same as Connor Hellebuck, who hasn't played for 15 games or whatever. But, Darcy Kemper, who was a Vezina candidate last year, these are guys that are all hovering around about Jet Greaves in the goal saved above expected category. Like, the only goalies that have a better goal saved above expected per 60 than him: Igor Shesterkin, who's been really good to start the year; Darcy Kemper, we've discussed; Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, we've discussed; Ilya Sorokin, who's out injured at the minute. He's the best goalie right now; and then Logan Thompson as well. So those are the only goalies that are better than Jet Greaves right now. There's not a conversation for taking him to the Olympics, but he's the 3rd best, statistically speaking, he's the 3rd best Canadian goalie right now, behind Thompson and Kemper. They're not going to take him. They're going to take Binnington and suffer with it. But this is my campaign for Jet Greaves to the Olympics. No, but he's been real good for this team. And again, Elvis started strong, but has really, really fallen off. So I think we're going to see a lot more of Jet as we go forward. And I think that's definitely a good thing. Let's talk about Marchenko. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk about Marchenko, who is maybe some of the most back that he's ever been. We'll talk about that in a second. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. If you are an everydayer and you want to be even more of an everydayer, go to lockedonbluejackets.supercast.com. Join the Everydayers Club. For $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes and access to our member-exclusive Discord. Come and chat to me, other Blue Jackets fans, other NHL fans, all of that good stuff, and have some fun with it. $5 a month, $50 a year. LockedOnBlueJackets.supercast.com, or the link is going to be in the description below. Let's talk about Marchenko, who, many people on the Blue Jackets are so back, let's say, but I don't think any of them are more back than Marchenko, who I called out a couple of games ago for saying that they needed more from him. He went missing for 7 straight games, I believe. So he didn't score a goal. So he scored a goal on December 6th. He didn't score again until December 22nd. So that's, 2-ish weeks, over 2 weeks with nothing. He had 2 assists in that time, 1 in Carolina, 1 in Ottawa. Pointless in 5 of those 7 games between his goals. 2 points in 7 games. Not good enough, right? And I said that. I was like, he needs to be better. He knows he's got to be better. The whole team knows he's got to be better. Again, with Werenski out, someone's got to step up, because apparently Zach Werenski, for a minute there, was the only one that knew how to score goals for this team. Marchenko, since I called him out, I believe, has 4 goals in 3 games. He had 1 against the Kings, 2 against the Islanders, 1 against the Senators last night. That 4-1 goal that was the real backbreaker. And again, is some of the most back he's ever been. You love to see it. The team needs this. They need Marchenko to be that difference maker. And that's what he's been the last couple of games. Great to see Damon Severson get a goal at 96 miles an hour, which I didn't know he had in him, frankly. And Denton Mateychuk, again, has 7 goals on the season, which is for 5-on-5 scoring for defensemen is really up there. Again, Locked On Blue Jackets bingo card. I closed the tab that I wanted, and things went badly. So in terms of 5-on-5 defenseman scoring, he is tied for 5th in the league. The only defenseman with more 5-on-5 goals. Excuse me, he's tied for 4th in the league. There are only 3 defensemen with more 5-on-5 goals than Denton Mateychuk right now, and that is Zach Werenski, obviously, Jacob Chychrun, and Cale Makar. That's it. Justin Falk in St. Louis also has 7 goals, but that is Denton Mateychuk. Oh, excuse me, Denton Mateychuk has 1 power play goal, so he has 6 even strength goals. So yeah, those 4 defensemen are the only defensemen that have more 5-on-5 goals than him, which is kind of wild. He continues to be just the guy with Werenski out. Like he has been getting a ton of heavy lifting. Last night he played 27-26, which is the most of anyone on the Blue Jackets. He played more than Provorov, and I believe in 2 out of the 3 games without Werenski, Mateychuk has led the Blue Jackets in ice time. He's had more ice time than Ivan Provorov, which is thrilling to me, obviously, but genuinely shocking in the same way. So, like, again, nothing but good things to say about Denton Mateychuk. He is just a revelation. I love to watch him. I love seeing him on the power play. Like getting PP1 time. Like, I'm going to be really interested to see what happens when Werenski comes back, because I suspect what will happen is that he'll get dropped from the power play immediately. But what if instead of that, they moved into the power play 2 and let him do that there, because he's been really, really solid on the power play since being put up there because of Werenski's absence. I miss Zach Werenski. I hope he comes back soon. But Mateychuk is really, really doing the heavy lifting to show that actually maybe he can be a number 1 defenseman in this league, which is a lot of fun, because if he is a number 1 defenseman in this league, then the Blue Jackets have 2 number 1 defensemen, which I think is fun. In terms of, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we haven't done a whole lot talking about the bad or the ugly, because I think for the most part this was a pretty good win. Like I said, it wasn't the cleanest. That second period was kind of diabolical. The Senators outshot them 10-3 after a really strong first period from the Blue Jackets. But Blue Jackets weathered the storm. Again, the power play needs a little bit of life in it, but the penalty kill was good. I am going to talk a little bit of smack, if you allow me, about Mason Marchment, who had an eventful game against the Islanders. We're not going to rehash all of that, but just the most brain-dead penalty that, like, was it a little bit soft of a call? Sure, but it also was, like, that was absolutely a hook. Like, that was the right call by the ref. They're on the power play. He's in the offensive zone, and he takes a hooking penalty, which is my least favorite penalty, because I think it's one of the laziest penalties. And kills the power play momentum. Blue Jackets do 4-on-4, and then, like, I think a full 45 seconds of Ottawa power play again as a result of that. And I know that you take the bad with the good with a player like Marchment. I saw someone call him Timu Brad Marchand on Twitter the other day, which did make me laugh a lot. But you take the points with the dumb penalties, and as of right now, it's kind of balancing out. He took that stupid penalty last night, but his assist on the Marchenko goal was incredible, right? Like that was just a great pass, great finish from Marchenko. So he's escaped my wrath for now, but I am worried about what happens when the points start to dry up and the penalties will presumably remain, because I think that's going to happen. He has, I believe, 5 points in the 4 games since being traded, or 4 points in 3 games, right? No. 5 points in 4 games. He played the Ducks games, the Kings game, and then the Islanders and the Senators game. So 4 games since the trade. He's got 5 points in there, but I would argue that he's also had 5 pretty stupid penalties. So again, it's kind of coming out in the wash right now, and I understand that sometimes you pay for a guy to be really annoying like that, but I would love annoying and not taking brain dead penalties when you're on the power play and in the offensive zone. So maybe I'm being overly critical of the dude, but I would love if he played his game with just like 10 to 20% more discipline would be just great for me anyway. But like I said, I don't really have a problem with Marchment as a whole. My worry is what's going to happen when he stops scoring. or stops putting up points. Again, he's gelled pretty well on that Fantilli line with him and Marchenko. So I think probably it'll stay like that for a while, or until something bad happens and Dean Everson has to shuffle the entire forward core again. I don't know what's going to happen with Monahan being out. I don't know if he's going to miss some time or if it was just that. I don't know if, again, we don't know what's going on with Monahan. Apparently it's a pain management thing that he's playing through, which to me says it's something that hurts, but probably isn't going to get worse from playing on it, which does make me wonder if it's going to be an off-season surgery type thing to fix the problem. Couldn't play last night. I wonder if it was all of the sitting around and waiting and then being, stuck on the plane or stuck at the airport or whatever, and something like seized up on him. But late scratch. I don't think I saw Zach Aston-Reese on the ice once. Obviously he played, but he did not make it. He did not make an impact on me at all. Which is why I forgot that he was playing until just now. But with Monahan, I suspect probably he'll be back in the lineup. And we've seen this a couple of times this season, right? If he leaves the game, doesn't finish the game, and then is good to go in the next game. Blue Jackets, like I said, they play tomorrow. So day off today. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we get Monahan or Werenski potentially back for the game against the Devils, which I'm sure is going to be full of fireworks. I'm sure Mathieu Olivier is basically foaming at the mouth about this game. We'll talk about it tomorrow, though. But yeah, I don't know what the lines are going to look like when Monahan comes back. I thought Sillinger did really well as the 2C in this game. 2 assists, including that pass to Boone Jenner on the opening goal that I thought was just a sublime pass. I don't know whether he did it on purpose or whether he was just throwing it towards the net and Boone Jenner was in the right place, but great awareness from him as well. Just a really, really nice play from Cole Sillinger. I wish he could remember how to score goals against a goalie. But great to see a very reasonable night from Cole Sillinger. Again, 2 assists and a surprising return to center for him. He's mostly been playing on the wing this season because of the acquisition of Charlie Coyle, which I've liked him on the wing, but I thought he acquitted himself just fine as 2C. Whether he stays there for longer than this game, we'll see. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Blue Jackets are off today, so there was no news on any of the injuries, including Brendan Smith, who I didn't mention. He was injured really late in the third period, and it looked quite bad. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I suspect we'll know if the Blue Jackets call up a defenseman, then we'll know what's going on with that. But it didn't look great to me. That looked like not cut his leg off territory, but putting zero weight on a leg is never a good thing, right? So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully Werenski's good to go. If not, we're going to see some more AHL call-ups, whether that's Guillaume Richard, whether it's Stanislav Svozil, whether it's Corson Kuhlman's making his NHL debut. I don't know. Dyson Mayo might return. Is probably the most likely thing, but I would like to see one of the kids get into a game. I don't know. We'll see. We'll know more tomorrow when the Blue Jackets have skated, when we've had some pre-game media, etc. But fun game. Kind of a stressful day for everyone, I'm sure, but a fun Blue Jackets game. And like I said, 3 wins in a row. It's a win streak. See if they can keep it going against the Devils. We'll talk about that tomorrow here on Locked On Blue Jackets. Thank you for listening to this episode, making it probably not your first listen of the day because I'm recording this at 1:30 Eastern, but maybe it is your first listen. I don't know. If it is, I appreciate you. If it's your second or third listen, I appreciate you as well. If it's your 4th listen of the day, well, we'll talk. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Blue Sky at JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter and LO-Blue Jackets on Blue Sky. You can find us on TikTok if that's the kind of social media you enjoy. Tomorrow we're going to preview the game against the Devils, and it's not a must-win, I don't think, but it's definitely a game that the Blue Jackets should be looking to get 2 points out of, and we'll talk about that in tomorrow's episode. LockedOnBlueJackets.supercast.com is where you go to become an everydayer for real. $5 a month gets you ad-free episodes, which if you have ad fatigue is super great, I think. And you also get access to the members exclusive Discord, which you can come and chat with me and other Blue Jackets fans that have taken the dive into the Everydayer Club already. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, make sure you stay locked on.